Marie. I'm a director at Synergy Recruitment.
And I'm Yasmin, also a director at Synergy.
And today we're back doing another podcast again. And today's subject is we're talking about onboarding.
We are. We recently did a webinar, didn't we, about staff retention, which is a very hot topic at the moment.
It is.
For a number of reasons. I suppose the difficulties in recruiting, but also the Great Resignation, which we won't go into too much. If you want to know more about it, watch the webinar. But essentially, there are going to be a lot of people leaving their jobs this year for a multitude of reasons following the pandemic. So your retention strategy is more important than ever to hopefully prevent that from happening to your business. So therefore, we've decided to focus on a very important part of your retention strategy, which is the onboarding process.
Absolutely. And I think a recent study that we've been looking at has shown that great employee onboarding can actually improve retention by 82%, which is massive, isn't it? And I think 88% of organisations don't onboard well, which again is quite a frightening statistic, really. And another bit of statistics for you. More than 40% of staff turnover occurs within the first month of somebody starting, which is why your onboarding process is so important, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't think a lot of people would really think of that as being a part of the retention strategy, but it is, because like we've just seen there, it's a big part of what makes people stay if you bed them in properly right from the outset. So we will give you some ideas of how to onboard people well.
Absolutely. And I think a common mistake is onboarding is not just about when they start on day one. It actually begins right from the day that you've offered the candidate the job, doesn't it? So, most people are on a month's notice. So it's making sure that once you've offered them the job and they accept, you need to keep in touch, don't you, with them? Maybe organise a lunch. Meet up with teammates, because it's quite scary, isn't it, when you're starting a new job. It's not just about the new things that you're going to be having to learn, it's all your teammates and you're like the newbie in the office. So if you can get people together just in a relaxed way beforehand, then they're not going to have those nerves or as many of those nerves on sort of day one.
Yes, especially if they didn't meet the teammates during the interview process, because a lot of businesses will have an interview process that just involves the senior leadership team. So people can be starting a new job without ever having met the people that they're going to be working with. We all know that's a really awkward social situation. So it might be nice, like you say, to organise a meet-up before they actually start. And then when they start on the first day, they already know the people that they're going to be working with.
Yes. And then what about scheduling a plan for the first few weeks? Because I think it would be quite nice to sort of already know what to expect. So what is going to happen in those first few weeks at this new organisation, because it's the unknown that's one of the biggest fear factors, isn't it? So if you're given a plan to go, I know week 1 is roughly going to be this, week 2 is roughly going to be that, then again that's going to alleviate some of that fear and worry. And in that plan as well, would be good to give them everything they need to know before they start. So what the dress code is, what they need to bring with them on the first day. Because again, we get that from candidates, don't we? Like, what am I supposed to take with me? But it would be great if they had the ideas of that already before they turn up. Just takes away all of that, hopefully, all of that first day anxiety, essentially. Absolutely. And then when it comes to day one, they're there. Make sure you've got all the equipment and all the things that they need, because we've had it so many times with candidates, haven't we, where they've started at a company, the laptop's not there, or we've got issues and my email account's not working, and it's just...
We had one candidate who didn't even have a desk.
We did started. Which is not good, is it? Because you want to feel part of the team and you want to feel like you're joining somewhere that's organised and has everything prepared for you, rather than it being a complete shambles.
Exactly, which goes the same for the induction. So obviously kind of step 1, day 1, induction. So have all the paperwork ready to go.
Yes.
So it shows that you're organised and everybody knows what's what. Talking them through the company values, the culture, the goals, really immersing them in that right from the outset.
so they can feel part of it, and they also know what you're trying to achieve to get their buy-in. That's really important, isn't it? And then maybe even giving them some sort of like roadmap for the first 30, 60, 90 days. So you sort of setting expectations on both sides then, aren't you?
Yes.
So I think that would be useful to do.
Yeah.
And oh yes, this is definitely one for you. Talking through the training plan, but asking them what's their like sort of learning style or how they like to be taught, because you're very different to me, aren't you? With that?
Everybody learns in different ways. Everybody does. I'm very, very detail oriented. I need to know absolutely every piece of information before I jump in and give anything a go. Whereas you are the complete opposite. And you jump in first and figure it out later. But people learn in different ways, so you don't want to either frighten somebody by throwing them in at the deep end or bore somebody by giving them too much detail and information. So I think it's really important to actually ask them how they like to learn and adapt the training plan to match up with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And then communication's key, isn't it? Just constantly making sure you're in contact, you're, establishing feedback, they're not just, speaking to sort of the manager, but they're integrating with other teams in the office, or stakeholders, just really sort of getting themselves immersed in all areas of the business, really, so they're feeling part of it. Yeah,
because I think that schedule that we talked about at the beginning, it's not just about putting in all the different training that needs to happen and sitting them on a computer and making them watch different training programs or whatever. It's just as important that they actually get integrated within the team and build relationships right from the beginning as it is that they learn how to do the job. So it's really important within that schedule to plan in one-to-ones with different people within the team and within the business, so that right from the outset they're meeting everyone and getting to learn about different people, and then hopefully really feeling like they're a part of something, rather than a few weeks down the line people still not knowing what the name is. I mean, that's just awful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And we speak to loads of candidates, don't we, where they're not necessarily loving their job and feeling immensely challenged, but they love the team, and that's why they stayed at a company for so long, because they love the culture, they love all of their teammates, and they get on with them really well. So it is the people aspect so important, not just like the process and the training.
Exactly.
It's
which
vital.
Leads to another thing of a really great idea is to give them a buddy. So set them up with somebody that is their point of contact, and that's a person that they can go to with any questions that they have, anything that they need, somebody to bounce off, and also even just somebody to go to lunch with, because that's awful as well, isn't it?
It is,
not knowing anybody. So if you've got someone that you can spend that time with from the beginning, then hopefully they should feel like they're not alone and that they know somebody there that's helping them out.
And also that person, that buddy, they've been allocated the time to spend with that person, so that individual isn't going to feel like, oh God, I'm constantly interrupting them and they look really busy doing that, because you feel awkward, don't you, for like disturbing them, because you have so many questions at the beginning. So knowing you've got that one person that's set aside just for you will immediately make you feel better.
Absolutely. I think this goes back to what we were saying before about not overwhelming them, so making sure that the training is broken down into bite-sized chunks, making sure that it matches up with their learning style. But finally, I think for this, it's about having regular catch-ups. So
having one-to-ones.
So at the end of the first week, finding out how the first week's gone, asking for their opinion if there's anything that they would like improving on. We did that at the end of our first week, took our staff member out for lunch, which was great. You just get an insight on how they're feeling about everything. Yeah,
and it's a more relaxed environment as well, isn't it? So you're outside of the office, so you're just having a general chat, and then hopefully they'll feel comfortable and open up, and then we'll make some suggestions if something isn't quite working, because you need to know if something needs tweaking so that they're then happier and learning better, and then that's the information that you need.
Yes. Now, we would be very remiss these days if we didn't also talk a little bit about remote onboarding. Obviously not something we would have needed to talk about years ago, but now a lot of companies are onboarding people remotely.
Yes, because we have a number of clients that will just have staff that work remotely, so it is really, really important that this is done correctly, because the pitfalls of onboarding remotely, you can have a loss of company culture. The candidate can feel isolated, and poor communication as well.
Even bigger.
So it's vital that it's done correctly. So regularly demonstrating and communicating with the person, the company culture, the mission, the values, again, so that they do feel sort of immersed in it, part of it, know what is expected of them.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be key from the outset.
Yeah, really obvious one. Make sure that they actually have everything that they need available to them online.
Seeing as they're working remotely,
That's
they
it.
will need all their files and documents and project work, and everything needs to be accessible. Don't be having any glitches right from the outset that's it's not working or the information's not there. So have it all ready for them.
Exactly.
And again, also have a buddy, but obviously just do it sort of in a remote work support system, and have those regular check-ins.
Yes.
So that they know that that person's there. You're constantly asking them for feedback and how's it going.
I think those should be booked in as well. Making sure that you've actually got them booked in each day so they know when they've got that time.
Yes.
But also then being available from a minute-to-minute basis, because one of the biggest problems that there is with remote onboarding is obviously it's not easy. If you have a question, when you're next to someone, you can just go, can you just help me with this? But when you're sitting on your own in your own house, you can't do that. So something that we hear from candidates, isn't it, that's something that they really struggle with, particularly with training. So
yeah, absolutely. And even when you're in the job as well, because we've had candidates that have spoken to us, and if they don't have an answer to a customer's question, so they quite often have live chat groups where they can message to get a response quickly. But if a company, the managers aren't getting back to them in half an hour, and they're sat there not knowing what to say to the customer, feeling really awkward. We've heard it quite a number of times, haven't we? So definitely make sure that there's enough support there to get that instant answer or feedback to the person when they're messaging the group.
Absolutely. I think that's about everything, isn't it?
Yeah, hopefully that's been useful, and you can take away some of those points for when you're next recruiting and onboarding your new member of staff.
Yes, absolutely. So thanks for listening. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.